Enugu. We are glad you're still hanging there. And we are moving to another segment of our discussion this morning. You know how we do it. We have a guest in the studio. We're discussing the local government elections in Enugu State. And we have Dr. Solomon Ude. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm very well.
Looking bright. The whole fuel scarcity is not affecting your side.
It affects everybody. There's no exception to the hardship.
Okay, and of course, you know that Dr. Solomon Ude is the Commissioner 1 representing NCEC, that's Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission. And we want to know how is the local government elections in Enugu? How far has it been going?
Well, so far so good. Like each time I have an opportunity to speak about local government election in Enugu State, I keep saying election is not a day event. It's a series of processes that leads to the day's event. So from time immemorial, for about some months now, we've been, putting on plans, locking plans in stone to ensure that the election that is scheduled for the 21st of September goes hitch-free, free, fair, and credible for that matter. So we are top gear in terms of preparation.
Okay.
That's what
so, of course, this local government now has their autonomy. So this year's is going to be different. How has the plan been? How has the preparation been? Do you think this is going to be tougher than it used to be, or do you think it's still going to be the same thing?
Well, it depends on what you mean, tougher or being the same thing.
Okay, now that local government now has their own autonomy, they can now operate.
Okay.
Do you think people will now be much more interested in being in that local government position?
But of course, if you understand what happened in the last election cycle, there was a lot of awareness in terms of people coming out to participate and choose who are their preferred candidates that they want to rule them or be their leader. So the least that can happen this time around is that the bar would go up further in terms of awareness and participation. So that's exactly what you're expecting in this local government election. Little wonder we have the number of political parties that had indicated interest with Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission as part of those that want to participate in the election. It's a clear indication that from what happened in the last election cycle, people already know that anything can happen. So it's not business as usual, and people are willing to participate and give it their shot. So
what's going to be the difference between how it has been before and how it's going to be now? Any particular?
Well, like I said, there will be an increased number of participants in terms of, as indicated in what's going on right now. The number of political parties has just astronomically increased from what it used to be. Before, we have about 7-8 political parties participating in the local government election. But for this year's 2024 election, we're seeing 19 political parties participating. Yes, exactly. So it's a clear indication that, people are becoming more aware and they want to be a part of the process in electing who they choose to be their leader.
So what are you guys looking at? What is the hallmark? What are people looking for in any person representing any local government area?
You mean for the candidates?
Yes.
But of course, for you to be a candidate, first of all, you have to be a citizen of the country. Of course, you can be from a foreign country and participate in Nigerian election. It's totally unacceptable. Of course, you have to belong to a political party. And of course, you also have to have met with all the electoral guidelines, as spelled out by Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission. So having met all these requirements, of course, and your party nominates you to be their flag bearer, of course, you are eligible to participate in the election.
Okay, so how about in terms of security? What measures have been put in place to secure the ballot boxes and all of that?
Okay, in terms of security, I think I want to give it to His Excellency. He has been very up and doing in terms of security. Even at the period when it's not an election time, he's been doing excellently well. You can agree with me that, the number of clamp down on criminals is on the increase. from the government of Enugu State. So it is my belief that that effort can only just triple during the election period. Before now, I think we've met with all the heads of security agencies in Enugu State. We're in tight collaboration with them, and we have a group where we share intelligence as regards the election, and we give them, our processes and what we're doing, and they give us professional advice in terms of security. So in terms of security, I think we're doing a lot in that regard, and plans are locked in stone to ensure that at the end of the day, we would have a hitch-free election devoid of disturbances.
So apart from security, are there other key preparations, put in place to ensure smooth election?
Of course, election, like I said, is a process, and for you to have a free, fair, and credible elections, there are some materials that needs to be in place to ensure that this election goes on smoothly and well. We have the sensitive and non-sensitive materials. They are almost done with, or as a matter of fact, we've almost done with both the sensitive and the non-sensitive materials. So once these materials are in place, of course, we would guarantee a free, fair, and credible election.
You are the Commissioner 1 representing Enugu State Electoral Commission, right?
Yes.
And we want to know, are there organizations, or is there any established organization you have that is going to take charge of the election for the local government's election coming up?
If I get you right, of course, NSEC is an EMB. By EMB, what I mean, Electoral Management Body. We are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that we conduct election, not just conducting election, but putting out a free, fair, and credible election for that matter. But in doing this, like I said, election is a very huge event, right? So the amount of staff we have in NSEC will not even be able to, carry the number of polling units or the wards where these elections will be taking place. So we are also going to employ some ad hoc staff, which the announcement is ongoing, to recruit more hands, which in turn will train those people so, recruited, so that they will also assist in ensuring that, election gets to every nook and cranny of the state.
I was about to, ask about, it's a big event, just like you said, and then moving from 7 parties before to 19 is a huge number. So I was about to ask, what are the foreseen challenges you're, trying to foresee? Of course, number is going to be an issue, just like you said, you're addressing, but what other challenges do you think might come up there?
Yeah, but like I earlier said, election is a very huge event.
True.
And, there's this popular saying that once you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So in NSEC, we understand what exactly we're going to do as far as the election is concerned. Like I said, an election is a process. It's not a one-day event. You understand? So we already have, verifiable information about the number of participants, the number of political parties who will even assist us in pre-printing ahead of time, so that no political party will say they are disenfranchised in the process. So we'll have them on the ballot papers because they have indicated interest that they want to be a part of the election. So we have them on the ballot paper, which is the sensitive materials. Then, of course, we have the number of polling units where these elections will be taking place. We have the total number of wards where these elections will be taking place. So having been armed with all this array of information, of course, it's incumbent on us to ensure that we provide materials in line with the number of, electorate that is in every polling unit and in every ward. So with that, I think we have forestalled any anticipated problem in that regard.
So can you explain the process of voting and vote counting?
Okay. First of all, like I said, in the commission, we have what they call both the sensitive and non-sensitive materials. So these materials would eventually move from the headquarters, which is number 3 Archie Street, Independence Lounge. That's the headquarters of Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission. These materials move from there to the various wards We have 260 wards in Enugu State. So this materials lands in those various wards. Then from there, we have a staff, which is known as the SPO, the Supervisory Presiding Officer, who has the responsibility to handle all those materials from the ward and distribute it to every of the pooling units in those areas. So when you come to the pooling unit, of course, the person in charge of each pooling unit is the presiding officer. Then, of course, they have also an assistant presiding officer who assists the presiding officer. And of course, we also have the pool orderly, who's in charge to ensure that, you know, people are directed on how to queue up, on how to vote, and check if they have the right documents that enable them to vote. If you don't, the person will redirect you on what exactly you're supposed to do.
Okay.
So voting actually starts by 8 a.m. in the morning. It starts with accreditation, and after accreditation, it goes simultaneously with voting. Before now, you know, like I said, we learn every day, we improve every day. Before now, what they usually do is, you know, they do accreditation, people go home and come back to vote. But you find out that most time when people get accredited and maybe they are carried out with something else, they are carried, you know, with something else, they go home, and most times you see a lot of them not coming back to do the voting. So what we are ensuring we'll do this time around, of course we did in the last election, as soon as you are accrediting, you are voting also, and voting starts by 3. But of course, if you're on the queue before 3 o'clock, it doesn't matter the number of persons. We will ensure that every single person on that queue would have to vote before the voting closes.
Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about the political parties. What measures are in place to make sure that the incumbents doesn't, you know, use muzzle out all the other people coming in to, you know, participate in this electoral process?
Okay. Well, you know, like I said before now, if you are in Enugu State, you understand what actually happened in the last election cycle. There's been an increased awareness in people trying to participate. You know, people have the option of belonging to any political party they so choose or they feel they are comfortable with. So in that regard, I think as a commission, that's why it's called an independent electoral commission. There's no interference for that matter, because what we try to do is to give every political party a fair and free playing ground to participate in this election. There's no information that has been provided for any political party and others didn't have. Okay, for instance, 3 days ago, we have what we call IPAC. They came to the office. IPAC is head of all the political parties. They came to the office for briefing, and these informations are made available to them. So what Party A is having, Party B is having. So for me, I think we have done very well in that regard to ensure that no political parties is disenfranchised in any way. Every information available to Party A is also available to Party B. So just like
so
that.
what is the commission doing to eradicate thuggery or violence-related disputes during the election?
Now, you know, it is clearly stated and clearly spelled out in the Electoral Act. Anybody found participating in any form of derogatory, using the use of derogatory words during election, there are prescribed punishment for such an individual. Of course, thuggery, like I said, if you recall earlier, I already spoke about security being in place. Security will be top-notch. Security will be very tight. As a matter of fact, there won't be room for political thuggery as far as this election is concerned. The polling booths and the wards and even the local government where these results will be announced and where the elections will be taking place will be properly secured. Like I said, we've started having interactions with the head of security architecture, where we cross-fertilize ideas and tell them what we think, or areas where we think we need to be more fortified. And in that regard, they've been up and doing in what they have to do.
Okay, so we saw what happened last year about the presidential election. A lot of people had questions. A lot of people felt like the counting of the vote was not transparent enough. How is it going to be different with the Enugu electoral body? How do you want to make sure the counting is transparent enough for people to have their mind at peace and to trust the process as well?
Okay. Like I earlier said, these elections, there are people in charge. They are dedicated staff, usually maybe not even from our core staff, maybe from ad hoc staff that will be trained to teach them what the process is all about. So when you come to the ward level, there's someone that is in charge known as the SPO, that's Supervisory Presiding Officer, who is also, or the ward returning officer, the person saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that elections are announced at that ward level. Now, when you go to the local government level, or when you come to the polling unit level, you have the presiding officer, who is in charge of his or her own his or her own polling unit. So when this is done, counting is done in that polling unit. Same for the local government. That's the local government returning officer. Also saddled with the responsibility of announcing, counting and announcing the results so collected from both the polling units and the ward level. They'll bring it down to the local government where they will all be collated and also brought from the local government to the headquarters, where we would have to do the final announcement after collation. So of course, these things takes processes. If from the ward level you collate and get to the, from the polling unit level you collate and get to the ward level, from the ward level you collate and get to the local government level, from the local government level you collate and get to the NSEC headquarters. Of course, what you have collected from these 3 units is what NSEC will be announcing in the headquarters of Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission.
So what is the possibility of having other political parties emerge in these local government elections, owing to the fact that Enugu State is seen as the hallmark of PDP?
I will always refer you back to the happenings of last election cycle. Before now, it used to be, of course, Enugu State used to be a PDP pure state. But if you understand what happened in the last election cycle, almost 7 of the House of Rep members of PDP lost that election. And I think the political party holding that positions now are the Labour Party. The same thing for the senatorial zone, where we have 2 Labour parties representing Enugu North and Enugu East senatorial zones. These are strongholds of the PDP in the last election cycle, but it has actually changed. So we are evolving. Things are actually changing. So such expectations, people are also expecting. That's why you see the number of participants. They're expecting that what has happened in the last election cycle have the possibility or potential of repeating itself again. So it's like I said earlier, it's a level playing field for all political parties. Anything can happen. All you need to do is do your homework properly. Talk to the people. If you're popular in your area, of course, you have the potential to win the election.
Okay, so before I let you go, of course, you've started advising, but I just want you to probably advise the candidates that are coming out for the election, things they should do to avoid being ruled out as malpractice and all of that. Just give them an advice.
Okay, when it comes to elections, local government elections in Enugu State, like I said earlier, it is not a day's event, it's a process. There are times that is dedicated, or there are time that is dedicated for campaign, which starts on the 7th of September and ends on the 20th of September. So within this time limit, we are not expecting anybody to start campaigning before the time allocated for that distance. So you ensure you campaign within the time lag allowed by the commission. And secondly, if for any reason you feel you are popular in your area and you want to contest for maybe the councillorship election or the local government election, go out and talk to the people. There's no need for name calling. There's no need for insult. What you're going for is election and not violence. So what my advice to them is that people should just go out, talk to the people, convince them what they will do if elected. You don't have to do campaign of calumny where you go and say this person won't be able to do this, I'll be the one to be able to do it. Just go and tell the people what you're able to do for them. And of course, we all know vote buying is absolutely not allowed. It comes with a very serious punishment. And of course, if you're also campaigning, the days allowed, like I said, is between the 7th and the 20th of September. And your campaign must end by 6 p.m. every day. You don't campaign beyond 6 p.m. So whatever is happening, I believe part of the reasons why this time lag is allowed, so that you don't campaign into the night where if anything is happening, you should be able to understand that, okay, if you're under attack or whatever, you should be able to see the people and all that attacking you or something. So people should campaign from morning. Once it's 6 o'clock, campaign closes. That's what the law says.
Thank you very much, Dr. Solomon. We really appreciate your insight on this and your expert's perspective on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll be moving over to our next interview. Please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, you can drop your comments and questions on this. See you after this.